Together, growing in faith, changing communities.
Together, growing in faith, changing communities. My dear brothers and sisters, today I would like us to reflect on the Gospel of John chapter 20, from verse 19 to verse 23. On the evening of that day, being the first day of the week, the doors being shut where the disciples were for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them, and he said to them, "Peace be with you." I would like us to unpack that phrase. It was the evening, it was the first day of the week. And we know the story very well that Jesus had died. And it was already the third day after he had died. But the disciples, the apostles, the 12, had gone up into the higher room, had gone up into a place to hide because they were afraid of the Jews. And so they had gone into a hiding place where they could be by themselves. And they had closed the doors and everything. And Jesus enters into their space and he sits with them. But the first words that he utters to them, he says, "Peace be with you." And that's probably what I would like us to look into this morning. The first word I would like us to unpack is position. Where am I positioned? Where am I in my life? A position is something quite important. I am not looking at the word of position as in it's a kundla, a place of authority. That's not what I'm looking into. But I'm looking at position as in where am I positioned in all of this? Where am I in my life? And it is quite important for me to realize that certain things can happen in our lives. If I'm positioned quite well, I can benefit from that experience. But if I'm not in good position, I can lose the experience, I can be angry, I can be bitter. And I'm analyzing that word in regard to their feelings. They are terrified, they are fearful, they are scared. And that is a normal human experience. One of the questions that I ask is that, what is your greatest fear? What is my greatest fear? For myself, for my family. And if you were to ask that question, quite a number of answers emerge. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of getting old. I'm afraid of sickness. I'm afraid of being raped. I'm afraid of being mobbed. I'm afraid of losing my child. And the list is endless. But if I know my fears, I am able to deal with it. If I know what is it that affects me, I am able to navigate through life and deal with whatever situation that is going on in my life. Jesus enters a group of men who are afraid. Now you know that someone who is fearful, who is terrified, in retaliation, they can do anything. They can fight you because they are afraid. They can suspect you because they are afraid. They can be suspicious of your behavior because they themselves are afraid. But there's also something important. It is their feelings, not your feeling. It is their experience, not your experience. And I think it is important to realize that as we engage with people, let's give them that space, but also let's allow not their space, their feelings, to determine who we are in our lives. The second thing that Jesus does that speaks to me, he says, peace be with you. What are they afraid of? They are afraid of the Jews because Jesus had been killed, but they are probably also afraid of themselves because they have failed God. They had failed themselves. And how many of us are like that? That I know that deep down, I feel lousy, I feel terrible, but I'm going to put a facade, a mask, and say everything is okay. Where I refuse to break down, where I refuse to ask for help. And I want to navigate and to do this on my own, even though I do not have the necessary skills to help me in my life. The other thing that I also would like us to look into, the first word is position. The second word is perspective. What is your perspective? What is your perception of this? How do I view life? How do I see things? Jesus comes into a group of men who are fearful. But Jesus brings them his peace. He says to them, peace be with you. Then Jesus shows them his hands and his side. Jesus is the one who has been offended. He is the one who has been betrayed. But his perception into life is quite different. He doesn't go out to them as someone who's bitter. He doesn't go out to them as someone who's vengeful. He doesn't go out to them as someone who says, it is now time to pay your debt. But he allows his own pain. He allows his own suffering. He allows his own experiences to be a healing method for others. And how many of us have gone through that? Where you are able to have a paradigm shift. Where in the midst of pain, of suffering, of frustration, you refuse to be a victim. But you allow that to be a means of helping someone else in their own life. So the most important word is the second one. What is your perception of this? What is your perspective? How do you see things and how do you see the world? But how do you see those who hurt you? How do you learn not to be like them? But also, how do you learn to help them without being condescending towards them? The other thing that I also find absolutely amazing is that as he shows them his hands and his side, once again, for the second time, he says, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I sent you. The third word I want to talk about, potential. The first is position. The second is perspective or perception. The third one is potential. Jesus sees potential in a group of men who are fearful, in a group of men who are terrified. but he's able to see something great in them. Am I able to see something good in you, even though you irritate me? Am I able to celebrate something good in your life, even though I may feel hateful towards you? Am I able to congratulate you, even though you are my enemy? Can I make a distinction between the baby and the water? That there is no need to throw the water with the baby. And in all of us, there is the yin and the yang, the good and the not so good. So instead of focusing on the not so good, maybe I'm invited to focus on the good. On the person that irritates you, that you do not like. Maybe start seeing the good in them. And my brothers and sisters, I'm not saying ignore the bad. But what I'm saying, what does that do for you? You get angry, you get upset. But the more you see good in this person, and I'm talking about the genuine good, not the good that I create in my mind, and I start appreciating you, I start giving you compliments, but I'm being honest and I'm being genuine. And eventually, I've seen it in my own experiences, eventually the person starts to see themselves for who they are. My dear brothers and sisters, there is nobody who is intrinsically evil. There is goodness in all of us. It may be hidden, but it is there. Now, as Jesus sends them out, he is able to see something great in each and every one of them. He sees things in them that they don't see in themselves. And he says, I can do something in this person's life. And he says, I'm sending you out. I am making you missionaries. I am making you apostles. Now, potential is what everybody in this church has. We all have potentials. Some are achieved, some are realized, and some at the moment remain dormant. But there's something that Jesus says, and I like it. As he sends them, there's something he does. He says, receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. Receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. I know what I want to do, but I do not know how to get there. And quite a number of us know that. We know what we want, but I don't know how to make the jump. I want to have peace. I don't know how to achieve it. I want unity. I don't know how to achieve it. I want to be a good person. I do not know how to become that. And Jesus gives them the skills. He says, I need you to get the skills. The fourth word I want to talk about is patience. A skill is never attained overnight. I can teach you a skill today, but over time you need to practice. You need to be patient with yourself. While potential is a great gift, it can be a curse. By now I should have been married. By now I should have had a car. By now I should be living in my house. By now I should have completed my degree. By now I should have done that. And now you soon realize that what has been given to you as a gift has become an enemy to your own life. Hence the fourth word is important. To learn to be patient with yourself. I know I have a potential to be that, but I need the Holy Spirit to help me to get there. May the Virgin Mother of God continue to be with us, to protect, to bless, and to guide us. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.